Alrighty, ladies and gents, welcome to another YouTube video. Today we have Ethan Tunstall here again. That means we're doing a technical session. Am I like Yoda and you're like Luke? You're the Star Wars bit, aren't you? Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Can I be Yoda?
Oh, you can be Yoda.
Okay,
You can be Yoda.
Anyway, we got here with Luke Skywalker, and we're going to talk about how to get started in arm wrestling. Pretty big, broad question. The thought process came about because somebody asked me today this question who is establishing a club in a town in rural New South Wales of Australia where there are no arm wrestlers. There's a bunch of enthusiastic people keen to start, but no one with actual competition experience, no one that's ever gripped up in any professional capacity at all. So they asked me, how do you get started in arm wrestling in terms of just safety, in terms of getting started in the right direction in a technical sense, just point us in the right direction. So today we're going to cover a bunch of processes and points that I think are relevant to getting started in arm wrestling. And this guy here, Luke Skywalker, is almost a living testament to this process kind of working. Because realistically, you're 2 years in?
Yeah, 2 years in.
Your level at 2 years in is phenomenal compared to what my level was at 2 years in. And you've virtually had the start we're about to describe.
Yeah.
And I had the start that was just lost. Had no one guiding me at all. So he's good. I was terrible. But that's all right. I'm good now. I'm Yoda now, so it's okay. So anyway, Ethan, why don't you kick it off, because I know this is a principle that you love, the steaming eggs principle. Talk us through what it is and why it's effective for a brand new arm wrestling club.
Yeah, so to start it off, you don't want really any pressures above 50%. So this is going to keep you completely safe. No matter where you go, no matter what position you're in, you're going to be fine because there's no pressures that go above about 50% of your maximum effort. And then what we want to do, what you want to work on, is no active counters. So that means if I'm the stronger person, I can't just pronate and bend back Ryan's wrist. I can't just chop his pronation down. None of that. We're going to stay relatively where we are, use passive pressures, so filling dead space, searching for rooms to go where they're not actively blocking us, so we're not taking anything off them. And then from there, it's a lactic acid game. So I want to alleviate as much lactic acid in my arm as I can, and I want to isolate a muscle on my training partner, in this case Ryan,
Yoda.
and get, yes, in this case Yoda, I apologize,
Yes.
and get him bleeding as much as I can. So it's a battle of lactic acid. So this will get your endurance up quite significantly, but also mean that you're looking for all those smaller technical nuances.
And the reason why I like this so much for a club that has never had the guidance of a professional in their midst is because your brain through your arm and your hand will feel things that you never would have thought of. When we think of arm wrestling fundamentals, we can say wrist flexion, pronation, back pressure, side pressure. Okay, if you go at arm wrestling hard, you'll find yourself locked into those four things. And you'll just be doing that, or just be doing that, or just do that. And you might win some matches, but your ceiling in potential development is here. Okay, we wanted to put it up here. Okay, we want your ceiling way, way, way up there. Feeling all of these intricacies is so important. If you think of arm wrestling as a combat sport, you'll quickly realize why this is necessary. Think about any other combat sport. If you go into the sport of boxing, okay, you're not going to be trying to knock each other out in the first month. You're going to be really light, and you're going to be feeling what's going on. You're going to be listening to the technicians and going, oh, okay. You're going to be mapping neurological pathways. We're doing the same thing here. Once you have mapped the neurological pathways to a sufficient level, you can then say, okay, now let's get strong on the ones that matter most.
Yeah. And the last thing we want to do when we're learning is to learn how to arm wrestle like a strong person. So one thing steaming eggs is really, it is. And one thing steaming eggs is really, really good at is it forces you to arm wrestle as if you're the weakest man in the room.
Yeah, it makes you use traps and dead spaces, and it makes you recognize biomechanical differences. You can see how straight away Ethan without using any physical overpowering, has got himself to the back of the pad, and that's because of his biomechanics, and it's kind of just where it naturally is going to go. And I've subsequently conceded on my pronation, but I've come forward and secured my cup, so I've used my biomechanics to counter what he's doing, and then it comes down to lactic acid, as Ethan said. But that is such an important step for establishing correct technique. Be fluid, be gradual, be soft, don't overpower, fill gaps, feel for opportunity. It'll keep you safe as well. It'll keep you conditioned in a nice gradual process so you won't get crazy inflammation. And most importantly, it'll set you in the right path to make you a brilliant arm wrestler, and then you can go and get strong from there.
And there's one other bonus too.
What is it?
Something we missed. The best form of rehab you're going to get.
100%.
100%.
100%.
Nothing comes close.
All right, so the next phase of getting started is to get strong. And the thing is, everyone wants to get strong, and everyone's excited about seeing if they can pin the guy across from them. And they just want to go hard. Okay, so we've had the discipline to do the steaming eggs and establish technique. The next thing is you got to get strong, but this is where it gets dangerous, okay? If you attempt to be strong in a dangerous way, you will break your humerus, the worst injury that can happen in an arm wrestle. And it's not that far-fetched. Among novices, it's quite common. So, to prevent you from getting injured, but giving you the taste of being strong, I recommend cupping, dragging through either rising back pressure or just lat drag, and pronating. Okay, no forward movements for a while. Okay, we're gonna just battle it out with cup, drag, and pronate. Find out who's the strongest in your club at doing that, and have fun with it. And if you are the weaker guy and you're losing, that's okay. So you take me, cup, drag, just stay with it. Learn to stay with it. Don't give up your hand. Giving up your hand is a choice. Keep your hand involved in the match the whole time. The whole time. You might be able to come back. Come deep in with me. Now drag from there. Better. I like that. And that's going to give you the feel and the value of the hand. Okay, so we're now getting into the fundamental strengths of arm wrestling of wrist flexion, back pressure, and pronation. We're going to stay away from side pressure for a while until you've developed what I would describe as a very accurate sense of not only your own connective tissue, but your opponent's potential side pressure. Until you can read that, and that's the most critical thing to keep you safe, you must have a sense of how much side pressure your opponent has access to. So what do we mean by that? Let's demonstrate. If I'm trying to force a hook on a top roller, so you top roll, and I am halfway in, I haven't turned his pronation down, I'm only halfway in. Right now, Ethan can hit, okay? If I'm not aware of that and I fully commit my shoulder, and I'm a novice, I'm gonna break my arm. It's very, very simple. As a professional, I'm okay here because when he hits, I'm aware and I'm ready to retreat and absorb and change the direction or whatever. Novices are not gonna have that instinct yet. So do not go side pressure or forward pressure until you are very confident you can read your potential or your opponent's potential side pressure. You agree with that one?
Yeah, I've got personal experience with this one.
You do.
In February this year. Yeah.
And what happened? Someone broke their arm?
I broke someone's arm, and
yeah.
it was exactly that thing. Them coming forward and not reading just how much.
And just
side
to
pressure I
reiterate,
had.
it was in a competition.
Yeah,
So
yeah, not training.
It wasn't
Not
training. But in competition, that is the most dangerous time too, because when comps are on, everything's fair game. And we take responsibility for our own health and safety in a comp. And if you want to come forward in a comp, it's up to you. But to keep you safe, no coming forward. Okay? No coming forward, no supinated pressure until you have that sense. And how do you know when you have that sense is a good question. I would say spend more time steaming eggs gradually bring the steaming eggs up to a 60%, a 70%, an 80%, and then you'll be going, oh, okay, I can feel that you could go there, and that, what do I have to do then? Because you need to know what to do when the side pressure arrives. If you don't know what to do and the side pressure arrives, you're in trouble. So just gradually bring the steaming eggs up, and your brain will feel it, and you will teach yourself just through the anatomical process of it. So.
And as the person, when you're practicing, if you are the one with that hidden side pressure threat, don't hit on it.
Yeah.
Ease into it in practice. Keep everyone safe.
Yeah. If you feel like you have access to a hit and you can see your opponent's redlining, talk to them. Say, hey, I think we're in a dangerous position here. Okay, because you really are. And when a novice arm wrestles a pro, you'll see the pro staying center and just waiting till they gas out. And that's usually because the novice who's having a crack is in a dangerous position. They have no clue that the pro could go sideways. So the pro sits there and politely waits and then puts them down. Okay? Don't make the mistake. It is what will be the biggest cause for break arms. Alrighty, and the last phase that we're going to talk about for getting started in arm wrestling will be experimenting with coming forward. Okay, so at this point in time, you've done your steaming eggs, you've got an idea of good technique groundings. You've started to develop connective tissue at maximum effort with wrist flexion, back pressure, and pronation. You've done steaming eggs up to 80-90% now, and you've got a good sense of your own safety in respect to your connective tissue and your opponent's potential side pressure. It's now time to go to the dark side. Hey, I should have been Darth Vader or something.
Yeah,
I'm now Yoda, because that could have been the one coming forward. Well, anyway, what is the dark side, Ethan?
Side pressure and bringing your shoulder forward.
Oh my
into
goodness,
the match.
what? So scary.
So fun.
Devin Larratt describes this as a bone sport. This is what he's talking about. You are essentially saying to your opponent when you come forward like this, my bones and my connective tissue are stronger than yours, and I dare you to test it. That's essentially what you're saying. Like, without words, when I come forward at you, I'm saying, let's go. Whose connective tissue is better? Whose bones will stand up for longer? And naturally, that sounds scary, doesn't it, to a new arm wrestler? That's why it's phase 3.
Yeah, and don't be scared to take your time with this one. I'm only just in the last 6 months or so really throwing myself forward into it. So.
The key things when you are coming forward is when you do get overwhelmed, you drive on me, knowing when to release. And you'll know when to release because you've already, again, step 2, established an understanding of your own connective tissue limits. Okay? There are certain circumstances where you're going to be willing to go into new ground and push. Save that for big things. For me, I've only on my right arm ever once in my life pushed beyond the point where I'd usually concede. And it was at the Zloty. I didn't want to lose. It was at a world level tournament. And my wrist was back. I had Raymond Zantanovich swinging around on my arm. And I normally would have conceded. But I was like, no. And I thought, ooh, look at that. I went into a new territory I'd never been before. And if it broke then, it wouldn't have actually surprised me. It wouldn't have, because I pushed it to a limit I'd never pushed it to before. So the point of that being just be sensible, save it for the big moments. In training, there are no big moments. In amateur comps, there should be no big moments. You'll either have, I think you should back off at around 80% in amateur world. If you're here and you feel someone driving on you, no, too good, your hand's too good, whatever. Don't sit there and give it, and just, I know Devin Larratt does it. I know I've done it a million times against Ryan Scott and stuff. You'll see it and you'll be like, hey, they did it, it worked for them. Please don't do it until you are really ready. Really ready. Have you done it yet in a comp?
Non-comp. I'd be happy to do it in comp now if I felt it.
Yeah, you've got to the point where you drop that on me all the time.
Yeah, I do it in training all the time.
I come into a hook and drive on you, and you just put your elbow in the way. Just like, what are you gonna do? It's a wall. It's a wall. So that's kind of the final phase. So all of those 3 phases, guys, you want to step through them as a team. You want to step through them with good communication. That is probably the most important thing. To be able to talk and communicate these principles with your training partner will protect you both and will actually grow you both at the fastest possible rate. Like I said, Luke Skywalker over here, after 2 years in this sport, is phenomenal on a technical level, on a conditioning level, and at a strength level. He's strong in the areas that matter most because he's walked this path. Where he's at now took me about 5 years to get to because I wasn't guided. I was searching in the dark for this information. Anyway, anything else? Did we miss anything?
No, I guess just no ego, safety, and good communication.
Yeah.
It's as long as you follow those things, you'll be sweet.
Strength is a curse. I'm not gonna dare.
Yes, that's a man!